Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Inspirational Brands Make in India. I'm Ridu Bhandari. In 2014, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched a mission to make India a global manufacturing hub. And through this series, we're on a quest to find some of the most inspiring modern-day success stories of India, of companies that are living up to this Make in India vision of the Prime Minister.
मैं जिससे भी मिलता था पिछले 2-3 साल में हर कोई यही कहता था भाई अब तो बिजनेस यहीं से शिफ्ट करना है, इंडस्ट्री यहां से शिफ्ट करनी है। ये जब मैं सुनता था मुझे पीड़ा होती थी। आज जब मैं मेक इन इंडिया की बात लेकर के आया हूं तो हम नहीं चाहते कि मेरे देश का कोई उद्योग, कोई व्यवसायी जिसे मजबूरन यहां से छोड़ करके बाहर जाना, वो स्थिति हमें बदलनी है। और मैं पिछले कुछ महीनों के अनुभव से कहता हूं कि हम ये बदल चुके हैं।
Ashok Leyland, the flagship company of the Hinduja Group, started its operations in 1955. It's the second largest commercial vehicle manufacturer in India, fourth largest manufacturer of buses in the world, and 12th largest manufacturer of trucks globally. Founded by Raghunandan Saran in 1948, Ashok Motors was set up in collaboration with Austin Motor Company of England. In 1954, the company finalized a technology and equity partnership with Leyland Motors of England for the manufacture of commercial vehicles. This new entity came to be known as Ashok Leyland. Ashok Leyland's technical center at Velli Voyalchavadi on the outskirts of North Chennai near Minjur is a state-of-the-art product development facility that houses not just modern test tracks and component test labs, but also India's one and only 6-poster testing equipment. Over 70 million passengers use Ashok Leyland's buses to get to their destinations every day, while over 7 lakh trucks keep the wheels of various economies moving. With over 30 years of experience at strategic and leadership levels across the spectrum of businesses, Vinod K. Dasari, Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Ashok Leyland, is largely credited for turning around the fortunes of the once beleaguered company. Mr. Dasari, thank you so much for joining us on this special show. First up, Ashok Leyland is of course very well known as the country's second largest manufacturer of commercial vehicles in India. Take us through the most historic milestones that this 70-year-old company has achieved.
Wow, I think there are about 4 chapters if you spread out the Ashok Leyland 70-year history. First and foremost, it started as Ashok Motors because our first Prime Minister asked a gentleman named Raghunandan Saran to start an auto industry in the south of India. So he started Ashok Motors and he was assembling cars. So Ashok Leyland made cars before we actually made trucks. And so we were assembling the Austin cars and Ashok was his son's name, so it was called Ashok Motors. Right. Then in about 1955, British Leyland came in and it became Ashok Leyland. That continued on till about 1987 when the Hindujas in a joint venture with Iveco created a company called LRLIH or Hinduja Automotive in London, and they acquired the shares of British Leyland. That continued till about 2007. Why I'm breaking it like this, I'll come back, but in 2007, Hindujas acquired the shares of Iveco and it became 51% owned by Hinduja Automotive. Right. The change is important because all along there was substantial technology input coming from somebody else. Right. In 2007 onwards, there was no technology infusion. So Ashok Leyland became self-reliant.
It became a Make in India company.
It was truly Make in India. You know, there are hundreds of companies doing Make in India. Ashok Leyland is probably one of the only companies that designs and makes in India. Even if you look at commercial vehicles of my competition, I believe we are the only ones who make our entire range of engines ourselves, design and manufacture. Nobody else does that.
Right.
World over, design has only been in 4 different cities across the world. This is Detroit, Stuttgart, and Seoul, and Japan. Now we want to bring that to India. But coming back to the Ashok Leyland story, so since up until 2007, for the first, let's say, 60 odd years, we had invested something like 2,500 crores into the company as investments into capex and all of that. Between 2008 and 2013, we invested 5,000 crores.
Wow.
So that was the pace of investment was significantly higher because we had to develop our own range of cabs, our own range of engines, our own range of aggregates. But we are proud of having created that in India.
Right. And you joined the company somewhere around 12 years back. What were the aims and objectives and goals that you set out with?
Well, I joined the company as a chief operating officer. At that time, I was primarily looking after manufacturing and sourcing. So my job was to make sure that our productivity is improved and doing better. How to improve our cost structure, how to improve our quality. About 2005 is when I joined. 2008 I became a whole-time director. And then just about when it became Hinduja Automotive. So I saw the investment period. I saw the investments in new capital equipment, development of new range of engines called the Neptune, development of our H-series engines to the next level. So we protected it till Euro 4, Euro 5, Euro 6. Built new range of engines that will protect this company for 20 years. We built European cabs, cabs that meet European standard of safety. So our cabs are protected for the next 20 years. And we invested in a brand new plant in Pantnagar.
Yeah.
So this was my mandate during that time.
And today, what's the production capacity of the company like?
Well, our production capacity is easily 150,000. And plus we have another 30,000 of LCVs that we can make. So we produced 120,000 vehicles last year. But every year this production capacity to me is a misnomer. It is, you can keep on adding, debottlenecking every single element of it. Most of the times the capacity constraint is not internal. It is something external, some supply source. In the month of June and May, we weren't able to produce as many as vehicles have been demanded because there is a supply chain constraint. So I think as the demand grows, we will continue to add more capacity through debottlenecking.
Let's talk a little bit about the Prime Minister's Make in India mission. Of course, Prime Minister Modi is on an agenda to make India a manufacturing destination. Auto is one of the critical focus sectors. How is Ashok Leyland really aligning itself to this mission and contributing to Make in India?
When Ashok Leyland came, Bharat Forge didn't exist. It's today one of the prized companies in India. Half of the Padi-based TVS group companies which make, whether it's Wheels India, Axles India, all of these companies didn't exist.
Right.
They all survived and came up because of Ashok Leyland. New technology was brought into this company. Why I say it's the poster child is, it is not only an Indian company that has grown, but it's also an Indian company that designed and developed every single aggregate. Unlike many truck companies or car companies who just buy everything and only do the final assembly, we design our engines, we design our frame, we design our cab, we design our gearbox, we design our axles, and we manufacture them in India. We export to many countries, but we design and make in India. So while Prime Minister Modi has been very apt in pushing this Make in India, I think unless we say we will design and make in India, with Make in India alone we will reach a position of creating a lot of jobs, but not sustainable jobs. In 1920, if you asked which are the places in the world where design happens, there are 4 cities: Detroit, Stuttgart, Seoul and Japan. That's where it was happening. Even today, it's the same 4 cities in the world.
What will it take for India to really emerge as a design hub, especially in the auto space? It's not that we lack the talent.
No, but I will tell you this. Why is it that after 30 years of Maruti being in Delhi, I don't have an engineering center in Delhi? So, in Chennai there is some coming up now, which are serving Chennai-based companies, because there are lots of local manufacturers. I think the government should frame policies which push design in India. It's not that I get the design from somebody else and I just polish it up or machine it here. All our auto component industries also, if you look, They are either been raw material intensive or process intensive. That means it's leveraging India's capital or India's labor. It's not leveraging India's brain power. So I completely am excited about this Make in India program. I think we should take it one more step further and say not just Make in India, but design and make in India.
Alright, so on that note, we are going to take a short break right now, but stay with us because on the other side, the conversation with Mr. Dasari continues. Welcome back. You are watching VoicePod Presents Inspirational Brands Make in India, and on the show today we are in conversation with Vinod K. Dasari of Ashok Leyland, a company that is truly making in India. So, Mr. Dasari, what do you think of the current innovation culture that's catching up in India? There are a number of startups coming up across sectors. A lot of youngsters who are interested, who have fresh ideas for every sector, whichever sector that you can think of. How would you rate the current environment in terms of innovation?
I think it's the great opportunity for India. On one hand, you have the government pushing this make and now make and design in India. On the other hand, the technology itself is changing. 30, 40 years ago when it was the era of landlines, it was the AT&Ts in the world who were actually the rulers of the roost. Then it became the big tower companies and all that who were running the mobile companies. So it was the Siemens and Ericssons and then it became the mobile phone, the smartphone, and it was the Samsungs and Nokias and all those people. Now it is writing apps on those mobile phones, leveraging the Wi-Fi that is available now because of the satellites that India has. This is the time, this is the era for India. And this is where we will succeed much faster than anybody else.
But over the next decade, if you were to say, peep into the future and predict what's going to happen in the next 10 years for the auto sector in India, what are the major critical changes that you see happening, and how is Ashok Leyland really ahead of the curve?
I think the pace of change is truly incredible. In the next 10 years, the pace of change will be 10x what we saw in the last 10 years. And the pace in the last 10 years was 10x the 10. So it's moving it by an order of magnitude. Today, 100% of our vehicles are designed on a 3D model. I can even crash test a vehicle on a computer, even before that's the level of technology that we are building. So what used to take us 4 to 5 years to develop a new vehicle, I think in future will be done 4 to 5 months.
Right.
We will be designing the vehicle in front of the customer, make the vehicle and say, done, next vehicle to be designed.
No, that's fantastic the way you are using technology to transform.
That's the way it will be. I think the cycle times, the clock speed will be so much faster that instead of 5-year cycles, it will be maybe 5-month cycles, and it will be even faster the years to come by after that.
So tell us a little more about, the kind of investment and the kind of human capital that you have at your R&D.
The brilliant question. See, there's only 2 things that are important in my business. My truck has to be better than the next guy's truck. I might have designed it, but how do I go and explain that? How do I make my dealer sales executive so productive that on his little tablet device, I can design that vehicle? I can design it with the customer, I can price it, I can give him a delivery date, I can finance it, I could do everything. And maybe, who knows, 3D print the damn truck and give it to him after that in very, very fast way. But that requires investment in R&D, not just inside Ashok Leyland's back end in the product development side, but also in how we go to market.
Right.
Very creative ways of doing service network, very creative ways of finding our sales productivity, leveraging big data and analytics. For example, we have machine learning algorithms which track millions of data points to track whether you as a customer have a propensity to buy, or if you are already a customer, whether you have a propensity to leave us. We track that, and based on that it tells you who to call, who to make go and call. This is applying next-gen technology to a very traditional market of trucks and buses, I guess.
Let's come to the marketing bit. Take us through the brand philosophy. How do you really market the brand, and what are those core values of the brand that you really market?
Well, the underlying statement is very clear. It's "Aapki jeet, hamari jeet." Translated literally, it's "Your victory is our victory." But what it means is, Ashok Leyland is on this journey of success. anybody who comes in contact with us, we will take them along in our journey of success, not step on them to achieve success. So every stakeholder, it just doesn't apply to a customer, whether it is a supplier. By the way, during the downturn, we actually mapped every single supplier that is in Ashok Leyland network, and we mapped it to say who is most likely to go bankrupt. There are 37 companies in which I sent Ashok Leyland people to go run their factories because we didn't want them to go bankrupt. So this aapki jeet hamari jeet is not something that is only for customer. Even my shareholder should be winning. My customer should be winning. My dealer should be winning. My supplier should be winning. My employee should be winning. My community should be winning. Any community that there is Ashok Leyland, they should feel happy that I'm glad Ashok Leyland is here because they believe in taking us along together.
Absolutely. So today, what is the range of the products that you manufacture and what is your best seller in India?
Well, we make anywhere from a 1.5 ton truck all the way up to a 49 ton truck. We don't make sub 1 ton trucks. We make the full range of buses also. We are the 4th largest bus manufacturer worldwide. When you are in our building, you must have seen our vision statements. It says we want to be in the top 10 in trucks. So when we wrote that vision, we were number 19. We finished last year at number 12. And when we wrote that vision for number 5 in the top 5 in buses, we were number 9 in buses. We are now number 4. So we've achieved the bus vision. Outside of China, we believe now that we are the world's largest bus manufacturer. So we have a full range of buses. We make it to any emission norms that you want, from Euro 0 to Euro 4. We are exporting Euro 5 buses to bus components to CIS countries. We just won an prototype order to sell Euro 6 or higher level of engines to United States. So this is Make in India at its pinnacle. This is an Indian design engine which is now being exported to the Western world to meet their emission norms. So whatever that emission norm comes, we will be able to meet. Our best sellers have several. We don't look at it overall, we look at it per category.
Okay.
So we just launched the Sunshine bus. We are very proud of it. It won the Commercial Vehicle School Bus of the Year award. It's the safest bus in India, the only bus that moves frontal crash requirement and rollover compliance, which by the way I don't understand why it's not there for school buses.
Right.
I'm pushing the government that it should be mandated. It carries the most precious cargo that we know, school children. So it is on back order. It's doing so well. We launched a Guru vehicle which is doing well. We restarted our LCV business with great deal of enthusiasm after we acquired the Nissan joint venture shares. We have great deal of excitement in our defense business. In the last 18 months, we have won some 19 tenders. All of these vehicles were previously being imported. Now we're going to make them in India.
Wonderful.
From 4x4, 6x6, 8x8, 10x10, 12x12 to carry nuclear missiles. Anything that the armed forces requires to be moved, Ashok Leyland will make it in India. Design it and make it in India.
Before we wrap up, my final question to you really, what is your vision for Ashok Leyland, say in the next 5 to 10 year horizon? Where do you see the company? Where do you want to take it from here?
It's a very difficult question, but there are several ways to look at Ashok Leyland. First and foremost, if I look at it from a shareholder standpoint, I'd like to see Ashok Leyland with a market cap of 10 billion. Will be relevant then. I think we are at about 3 or 4 billion now. We should be making it at $10 billion. That would mean that my share price should be somewhere around 225, 227. I know this exactly, but that's from one stakeholder's point of view. As far as the customers are concerned, they run their business on the back of us. Nobody buys my vehicle because of the way it looks. Their roji roti depends on Ashok Leyland vehicles performing well. I owe it to them that my vehicle as well as my service network performs so that he continues to make money. Some 7-8 years ago we said if your vehicle is not working and I can't get it up and running in time, I will pay you a penalty. And they were very happy with that. Just recently we said, wait a minute, not only I will pay you a penalty, I'll pay your EMI for the days that I made your vehicle stop. That is my commitment to that customer. Right. So I want to make sure customers reward us with business and we become market leaders. I want to make sure that Ashok Leyland employees are the best paid in the industry. Our suppliers have pride in doing business with Ashok Leyland. I believe that if I could summarize, Ashok Leyland came from the brink of financial collapse to today a good company. Yes, our return on capital employed is best in the industry. Our debt is zero now. In any financial metric that you say, we are one of the best in the world. But I'd like to define that as being a good company. And internally we are saying, how do we define ourselves as a great company for all the stakeholders that do this, that connect with Ashok Leyland? And that's our vision for the future.
All right. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you. So that was the very inspiring story of Ashok Leyland that's contributing significantly to the Make in India mission. With that, it's a wrap on this episode of Inspirational Brands Make in India. But do join us again next time as we decode another inspiring success story from the world of business. Until then, thanks for joining us. Goodbye.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.